Good afternoon. It's Jasmine here on my channel, Sober and Fabulous. I am now celebrating 1 year of sobriety, and it's like it's a big deal. I'm very proud of myself for it, but at the same time, I don't feel like anything's changed in my day to day, and I like that. I think that's important to know that yes, it's a big step, but at the same time, every day I make the choice to stay sober. So it really is the saying, one day at a time. And there's just so much that goes on in our lives constantly. Things are happening, whether they're good, whether they're bad. And I'm dealing with a lot of stuff right now. I tend to stay away from drama because I feel like it'll find me if it needs to. And it's hard because what I struggle with a lot is oversleeping and wanting to sleep rather than deal with my problems. And it's always been a coping mechanism since I was little. And that's something that I'm really working on, but at the same time allowing myself rest. And so I feel torn in both ways because I know that I need rest. I know that I'm going through the loss of my partner, and just in that we're not together. He didn't pass or anything. But it's a loss. It's, something is gone that was there all of the time. And there are many good things about the separation, but there are also just some hard things that deal with intimacy. And when I say intimacy, I don't mean sex. I mean the intimacy of being next to each other when you're sleeping, the things that you say to each other that are, just between the two of you. And all of that is just, it's out there. It's weighing on me. So I've been journaling about it. I talked to my therapist about it. I have a wonderful roommate who I can talk to when I want to talk to him about it, because I don't want to talk about it all the time. And I don't want to be asked, hey, are you okay? Of course I'm not okay. I'm sad. I'm hurt. And I made the decision. I asked him to go. So even with that, even with me making that decision, I still, love doesn't just turn off. So I'm going through that. And at the same time, I'm celebrating 1 year sobriety. And it's just been such an amazing journey. I'm so grateful that a year ago I made the decision to admit that I was an addict, and I'm a recovering addict now, and made that phone call to my stepfather 2 days before Father's Day, and got into rehab. My mother's therapist helped me get into the rehab that I went to in Prince Frederick Avenues, and I was there for 2 months, and that was hard. It was such a shock to me that I lived with my roommate and my boyfriend, and suddenly I was in a space where I had two other roommates, and there were like 30 women and probably like 40 men, and it was a lot. And at the same time, I was so ready to go in, to heal, to break down my walls, to be vulnerable. And I say that I was so ready. I was ready, but at the same time, my body was like, no, no, no. You're fine. You can drink. You can do drugs. So I struggled with thinking that I was going to be missing the party, that I was going to be missing all the fun. That definitely lasted throughout rehab, I would say. And I thought I would be fine to go home. I did a group therapy with my stepdad and my mom. I think I had like 3 weeks left, maybe 2 or 3 weeks left. And they suggested that I do the aftercare, which my counselor had been pushing me to do. And I was, I don't need that. So after I talked to them and I talked to my boyfriend, I talked to my roommate, everyone was like, do it. It's fine. You're working on yourself. I was just so worried that I had to like get back to my life and, you know, get back to a job and pay my bills and take care of my cat and just not take care of myself. So I paused and I agreed with them and I looked into well, I had at the rehab facility, they have someone, I forget what they're called, but they will find an aftercare program for you. So I told her what I was interested in, and she found Orenda, which is based in Frederick. And I went there. I left Avenues August 20th, went straight to Orenda, and was there for 2 more months. And so that's a step down from rehab. And it was also difficult at times. At the same time, I met amazing, wonderful people in both rehab and aftercare that I'm still very much in touch with, and they are a big part of my sobriety. We don't see each other all the time, but we text. And it's just knowing that we're going through the same thing. We don't have the same issues, but there's just a knowing, there's an understanding that we have. And the words of encouragement are just, for me, when I encourage others, I'm encouraging myself. So that just, amplifies how I feel and the relationships that we're developing. So, Orenda and, going to classes, listening to things that I know. I'm an intelligent person. And you don't even have to be an intelligent person. You could just be, a person. These are things that you know, but it's the reiterating of them is important. And reminding myself, reminding my beautiful brain how amazing it is and how it can heal and how I can heal. But I have to put the work in. I have to want to do it. And it's the same thing with my depression. And I work on that with my therapist. And I know it's not just going to change like overnight. It's going to take time. The fact that I'm sitting here and talking about it is huge. Because I used to never, ever talk about it. Like maybe when I get fucked up, and I apologize for cussing, but it's part of what I was doing. I would open up with someone if I felt comfortable enough. And it was very far and few between those conversations. So now I feel like I have them more often. I feel like I look inside myself and not necessarily question, but I do observe what my thoughts are. And then I think about like, is this healthy for me? Is this not healthy? And I used to not do that. There's so many things that I do now that I didn't do before. And one of them is just, really focusing on myself. I would always worry about what other people thought of me, and if I was keeping them happy, then I would be happy, and that's not the case. I am working on me. This is going to take some time. I spent 42 years, not working on me, and this is the first year of working on me, and it feels so amazing, and it's hard because I'm actually dealing with things that I didn't want to deal with for so long. And I don't think it's necessarily that I didn't want to, I didn't know how to, and it just all seemed so overwhelming. I never thought about building myself up, grounding myself, making myself stronger so that I could handle the things that I need to. And, forgive myself, forgive the people that hurt me. And this is something that continues throughout life because things happen. Sadly, people hurt us and we hurt people. And it's all of the things that I'm learning are going to help me continue to grow and develop. And I was just thinking to myself, as I was getting ready to go run errands, I was like, I don't hang out with anyone. And I'm ignoring people that I used to hang out with. And at the same time, I was like, Jasmine, it's okay. It's okay to work on yourself right now. It's okay to need that space. When I'm ready, when it happens, then maybe those relationships will develop. But a year is really not that long. And I'm still very vulnerable. And I don't feel like I'm vulnerable in the sense that I'm gonna, if I'm around someone that's using or drinking, that I'm going to be enticed to do it. I don't know though. And I have I'll be honest, I have a fear that, I don't know if that's going to happen. And I don't know, I can't say that like everybody out there is drinking and using and they're going to test me. I don't think that's the case at all, but I feel safe where I am. And I know that I'm going to have to be vulnerable again and go and be around people when I'm ready. I'm not quite there yet. So, working on myself, I am trying to get myself to do things that interest me because I think that's important. I realize that with a relationship ending, I have always been the type of person that let's do what you want, let's make you happy, let's listen to the music you like, let's watch the shows you like, whatever you like, I'll do. And I'm now realizing I don't know what I like in certain things. And it was kind of sad at first, but then I was like, well, this is time for me to realize what I like to do, and I can spend time doing it. There's no one telling me that I'm doing things that they don't agree with, or let's do it this way, let's do it my way. It's finally my turn to do things my way. And I'm embracing that part of being by myself again. This is the first time I feel like that I've ever been by myself, and I'm not so like in need of someone else to be here. I feel like I'm actually giving myself space to just be by myself. And I've said it before years ago, I'm fine being single, but at the same time in my mind there was always someone that I was in love with, someone that I was wanting to be with. And in my, the twisted, warped way of my mind, that's when I would be happy if I was with that person. And that's not the case. Being with myself, I can be happy, and I am happy. And at the same time, I have moments of sadness, and I have moments of anger, and that's okay. I realized when my therapist told me last week in our session to embrace my anger, to embrace my feelings, my negative feelings, because I tend to just over positive everything and find the silver lining in everything. And that's okay. That's who I am. But at the same time, I have negative feelings, and it's totally legitimate and understandable to experience them, to sit with them, and to be pissed off, and to have days where I just don't feel like doing anything, and I just want to eat chocolate and cry. Okay? Like, let's be honest. I have days like that. And I'm okay with that. That is a part of my healing process. And I'm just so grateful to be in this place of, I feel like I'm in a place of like more understanding myself. I'm understanding why, I don't want to say why. I'm understanding myself, and that's going to help me understand, I don't want to say understand, that's going to help me accept the things that have happened and be able to move on. And I think that I'm already in that process, for sure. I think that every day when you have things that have hurt you, you deal with letting go. You deal with acceptance. And do I accept the fact that I'm going to be depressed, or do I accept the fact that I'm going to get up and do things? And I think as more time goes by, that becomes stronger, the getting up and doing things. And that's the place that I want to be. I am starting to think about, where do I want to be in 5 years? And I've thought to myself, like, I want to have my own house. And these are things that, like, I've never thought of for myself before. There was always someone else in the picture that would make it safe and make it complete. And it's exciting to me to know that I can do this. I am a strong, independent woman. And yes, if I meet someone along the way, if something were to happen, that would be wonderful. It would be great. But I don't want to go into a relationship again thinking that that completes me, because it doesn't. I am already a person, a whole person. That's me. And when I am in a relationship again, I want it to be two people that come together and connect, that feel like they push each other to be better and just really make a life together. And at the same time, I'm not searching for that. I'm not like looking at past relationships like, oh, should I go after that? Absolutely not. There's a reason that didn't work out. And I think that it's healthy for me to not be, I would obsess over it. I'll be honest. I have always had a problem with obsessing over whoever I was dating or in love with, especially when it would end or they didn't want me. And that obsession is just, it's not healthy. And it was really taking my focus away from me and me growing. I was putting all this attention and focus onto them and that obsession of us being together, that I was losing out on working on myself. And so that's my goal, is just to work on myself, take care of myself, listen to myself, love myself, respect myself. And I feel like I'm very much on that path. And, I'm so happy to be in this place. I think about where I was a year ago. What's today? The 22nd. So I knew that I was going to rehab a year ago this time. And I had quit drinking. My last drink was June 20th, 2022. And I had not done drugs until the previous week or the week before, but it's still very much in my system, as was the alcohol. And so I knew I was going there, and it was just, the waiting and the not knowing. I had no idea what I was going into, but I'm so grateful that I did it. I really am. It's definitely one of the hardest things. I would never tell someone that, oh, rehab, some people were like, oh, you were on vacations. Like, no, I was not. And it's not meant to be a vacation. I don't ever want to have to go back to rehab, but I'm grateful that I had all of those resources, and I know that they're there if anything were to happen. I think that's important for me to know. And I met, amazing people. The counselors that I had were very inspiring throughout the whole progress. And a lot of them were recovering addicts, or on the other side, had someone in their family that struggled with addiction. So seeing all sides of that and just seeing where they were, that always inspired me. And that's what I want to do. I want to inspire people to be sober, to stay sober, and to be happy in sobriety. I'm so much happier now that I don't wake up with hangovers, that I don't wake up obsessing over where to get that, whatever I needed, whatever fix I needed. I don't worry about that anymore. That's not even a thought that crosses my mind. And the same with alcohol and going out and all of that. I had already lost the desire to go out years ago, because it just was a waste of money and people were annoying. And I was also in the industry. I bartended enough that, you could only handle that scene so much. And I'm just happy to be where I am, happy to share, what I'm going through, and that sometimes it's a struggle, but that's okay. No one said that life was going to be, an easy road. And if, as human beings, if we didn't know struggle, would we know true happiness? And I don't justify, the bad things that happen, but I do see that I know true happiness because I have known struggle. And I think that's an important way for me to look at how I live my life and how I feel about being sober. And I'm just very happy to be here, happy to share my thoughts. And, I'll say it again, If you feel like you need to see a therapist, please reach out to someone. There are so many, I mean, it gets hard. I know that when you are depressed. So, my suggestion is to reach out to someone close to you and have them help you. Just be completely honest that you need that help. And if you feel like you are struggling with addiction, then I highly suggest that you go into a rehab facility or an PHP, partial hospitalization program, or even an IOP, intensive outpatient, anything just to get the idea or the mindset that drugs and alcohol do not have to control your life. And I am so happy that they're not controlling my life anymore. There's so much more to life than that. And I wish you a good day. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.